Supplemental math videos from Circle Christian School. Polynomial division. Don't tear your hair out. Can't, could never do. We never ever divide. We just multiply. Okay, let's do a couple of polynomial division operations. First, we're going to divide by a monomial. And as you look at this problem here, you'll notice that you have basically this big old hairy polynomial up above a small little monomial here. And what we're going to do is just separate it out. The 2t down below here in the denominator is just a common denominator. So we're going to give everybody that common denominator. So we got the 12t to the 5th power over the 2t. And a minus 8t to the 3rd over the 2t. We're just sharing the common denominator. Just watch your signs as you do this. The 5t squared minus the 2t plus a 2t over 2t. Sounds like an awful lot of tea to drink. And we're just going to simplify each one of these exponential expressions here. So I'm going to take the 2 go into the 12, and I already hear you that you have a 6, and we can put that down below here, that's what we have. T into the T5 is going to leave 4 of them. There were 4 on top, 1 down below, so we have T4. And 2 into the 8 is 4, and the T into 3 of the T's leaves you with 2. So we have 4t to the 2nd. And a plus sign. I know it's a little bit hard to see up there. Not really anything that we can do with the 2 and the 5 here, so we're going to keep the 5 over the 2. But the t can go into 2 of the t's up here. It leaves us with a t. It's just a nicer, friendlier way to write it. And, of course, plus 2t over 2t. Now, they don't cancel out and disappear. Realize that any number over itself always equals 1. Okay, let's work on something that's a little bit bigger, and that is a big old hairy polynomial being divided by a binomial. And this is going to require a little bit of your long division. But don't worry about the long division. Again, we don't ever really divide when we do these. It's all about multiplying. You've done division for years. We're going to do the same thing, only all you have to do is think about multiplying. Okay, plus the 17x squared minus the 20x minus the 20. There we go. All right. The guy who's important here is the variable expression right up at the front here. He's the guy we're going to use all the time. And the deal is, we want to end up canceling out as we go down the line here. So what I need here is actually a 12x to the 3rd power. So I look at the 3x and decide, what am I going to multiply to the 3x that is going to give me a 12x to the 3rd power? Now we can't go into just the monomial here because we have a binomial, 3x plus 5. We have to go into the 12x, I'm sorry, to the 3rd power plus the 17x squared. We've got to go into a binomial into a binomial. So to get my 12x to the 3rd power, what we need is a 4x to the 2nd power. And again, see, that's what I'm going to do is multiply. And then we're just going to distribute things back. We have the first one, so we just have to do the second one here, which is going to give us a positive 20x squared. All right, same thing as when we do long division, that now we're going to do the subtraction part. But you have to remember that it's not subtracting the 12x minus the 3, it is subtracting the binomial. So everybody's signs have to change. Our whole goal was to cancel this out, and so now we have 17x squared minus the 20x squared, and that's going to give us a negative 3x squared And we're going to bring the next guy down, which is a negative 20x. And again, the 3x is going to be focal here. What would we multiply to the 3x that we get a negative 3x squared? Well, it would be just a negative x. Well, the first one's already been distributed for us. That's the negative 3x squared. And we just have to do the next one, negative x times the positive 5. And that will give us a negative 5x. And again, what we're going to do is just change the signs for this process here. So I'm going to have a positive and a positive. That allows us to cancel out the first guys. That's our whole goal here. As we work our way down the system here, we're always canceling out. Now we're going to do the math. Negative 20 plus the 5 is going to give us a negative 15x. We're going to bring the last guy down, negative 20. And as before, we want to end up with a negative 15x here, so we're going to ask ourselves, what do we multiply to the 3x over here? That is going to give us the negative 15x. And because you all are so smart, you're going to tell me, well, we multiply a negative 5. So we only have to distribute out the last part here, which is the negative 5 times the positive 5, and that's going to give us a negative 25. Now we're going to do our subtraction thing again. We're going to change our signs. That's going to become a positive, and that's going to become a positive. The 15x's are going to cancel out, and this is going to leave us with a positive 5. Now if you don't get a 0 down here, then what you have is a remainder, and you have to bring it up to the top. It's a positive 5, and you're going to put it over the divisor. 5 over the 3x plus the 5. And that's how we solve the problem. Again, it's just little bit by little bit. Work your way down the step here, remembering that you have to eliminate the first part as you go down. Okay, let's do synthetic. And the synthetic can actually only be done when we have a binomial that we're dividing by that has a 1 as a leading coefficient here. Otherwise, you pretty much have to do the long division until you get into something like calculus or college algebra. Then you can do it the other way. Well, synthetic says that we're actually just going to do that upside down division thing here. We're going to take each one of the terms inside of here, and since we have a power of 2 here, then we know we've got to start with a second degree, followed by a first degree, and then a constant number. And I'm going to put down just the coefficients. I like to put the sign with it. So this is a negative 2. I know it's a little hard to see here that it's a 2a squared because my little y tail is hanging down there. My next one's a positive 7, and then a positive 5. And then we're going to take the root of the problem. We're being divided by the a plus a 3, so we know that's one of the roots, and we're going to do the opposite of what's inside here, which is going to be a negative 3. Now remember, everything on the inside is being added together, and everything on the outside is being multiplied together to give us the next term. And here's how it goes. Going to bring the first guy down, we get a positive 2. We're going to take the negative 3 and multiply it to the negative 2 to get our next term over here, which is a negative 6. Inside it's going to be added, so it's going to be a positive 1. And positive 1 times the negative 3 to get our next term is going to give us a negative 3. And that's going to give us a positive 2 in the end. And anytime we end up with something besides a 0 here, we know we've got a remainder. So the equation that we end up as the other factor for this division problem would be 2 and an x. It's always 1 degree less than what we started with. A positive 1, it's a constant number. Everything's always 1 less the category that it was in. And then we have a remainder of 2, and it's going to go over our divisor of a plus 3. And that's long division, and as far as I know, I didn't divide anything. I just multiplied everything. Have an awesome week.